did about 8 or 9 months of research where we really looked at the animal world to try to figure out what the plot of the movie would be, what the characters would be experiencing. And in that research, we discovered this interesting divide between predators and prey that we came upon, where you have 90% of the animals in the world are prey animals and 10% are predators. So you have this automatic majority-minority, two groups that don't get along. And that really fed sort of the stoked the coals of what drove the movie from then on, not only in the plot, but also what the main characters are in conflict about. So it really did evolve naturally. And because it is a talking animal movie in a contemporary world, I think that's something that we bring contemporary references into it very easily, and it's like an expected trope of this format, I think. So.
I think that we decided to challenge the genre of talking animal stories, films. Not so much challenge what a Disney movie is, because I think we're of the mind that the filmmakers that are making, if it's made at Disney, it's a Disney film, and we're conscious of the legacy, but also that the films need to speak to today's audience. So we're always trying to keep one foot in timeless and 1 foot in timely. So though we were kind of pushing the boundaries of this type of genre, we wanted to be respectful of the legacy also.
Well, how long has this been in development?
It's about 5 years now.
That's not so 5 years ago, what was the kernel?
Well, Michael was still in college.
He's very young. He's very talented.
For the third time. I was going to do it this time. I was going to graduate.
Third time's the charm.
He's determined. It's about Michael's determination to graduate from school. So 5 years ago, right after Tangled, Nathan Greno and I, who had directed Tangled, we pitched 6 ideas to John Lasseter. And the way you guys know John, so John, the way he likes you to come in with these ideas is not just to bring one idea, but bring many. And I think we came in with 6 different ideas, and they were all different things. Like one was a version of Three Musketeers, one was a sort of a kind of a crazy Roger Corman B-movie idea, one was about animals in space. One thing they did have in common was that they all had anthropomorphic animals. And John said, well, I don't know about these ideas, but this anthropomorphic animal thing is really interesting, because Disney hasn't done one of those in a long time. We did Robin Hood way back when, and John grew up on Wind in the Willows, which was Ichabod and Mr. Toad, that compilation movie that Disney did back in the 40s and 50s. And so we got very excited about that, because now we had never done one in CG, especially, and that's something that even our animators, they do human animation a lot, and they're brilliant at it. But even to give them something new to do, and this world where you have so many different animal species, everybody's limbs are different lengths, and the acting has got to be different depending on the species, got everybody very excited. What we had pitched back then was actually a spy movie. It was a spy movie that I was very excited about spies at the time, and I thought this would be a great thing. We have this animal world, but as we pitched this movie over and over again, the feedback that we got back from the Story Trust was that the spy movie thing wasn't the most interesting part of the world that we were developing. It was really this first act where you had an all-animal city, and everyone was saying, well, that's unique. What if you guys expanded that and made that the entire film? And that's where things really kind of dug in, and that's when we dove into that research.
The way I work generally is I will watch something, I will think about it, and I will write a piece of music that reflects the way I felt when I saw it. And what I kept coming back to was this very sort of sad and disillusioned feeling in the music. It was just the sadness and disillusionment. And I kept thinking, well, this is Zootopia. It's also got this funny stuff. And I felt, but I just kept doing this. This is what I kept coming back to. And I said, well, I'm just going to show it to them and see what they think. I said, here's what I felt about your movie. It's sad, and I felt disillusionment. Yes! The kids love that. But it was, to me, the truth of the film. I kept thinking about the character of Hops, and this character who is so optimistic and so idealistic about everything, and everything is going to work the way I want it to, because that's just the way the world is. But I know that in all of our lives, as you get older, as you grow up, and this is a warning to you kids out here, you will be disillusioned. there are things you learn that really go, oh, that's the way it really works, or that's the way it really is. And these are the things as you're growing up, you just don't even connect to or don't even realize. And it's, for me, the film was about that moment in our lives when we realize, I'm not looking at this in the right way. I've been really kind of looking at life in a very sort of superficial, mostly about me. And it's not until you reflect and look at it and through the eyes of somebody else that you understand sort of what life is. And that's where I came from with the music. So, I mean, I played it for you for the first time for you guys. It came over to the house and I said, okay. And I remember playing it for them and thinking, I don't know how they're going to think about this, but that you can talk about that.
Well, that's sweet that he did compose an 8-minute suite for us, and it begins with that very poignant piano theme. There's that single note that rings out over and over and over again. I don't think we knew what to expect at all. I think, and we just sat there.
Well, I knew that you would get to the heart of it. He's like a detective. He's the meetings that we would have, the conversations that we would have, and just kind of hanging around with you, and even being at your house, and kind of, how we would kind of talk about the things in your house. He's picking up little things. It's not just about the movie. It's like he's getting into our heads also. As he's building this thing. So I had no doubt, and I could kind of feel like, wow, he's really doing his homework here. So I had no doubt when he was going to play it that it was not going to be on the surface.
It's funny because I thought it would be the opposite. I thought you were going to do to me what I did to you the first time.
Oh, no, well, it's not for us.
Doing it
It's
to
a little
each other.
melancholy, gotta go. Sorry. But, and the other thing, too, is that one of the reasons we asked Michael to do the movie in the first place is because we knew it would be a very diverse score, because you have multiple worlds in the city. You have different environments that kind of call for slate like kind of Russian, Italian vibe. In the Tundertown district, you have the Rainforest district, which has sort of a kind of a South American vibe. And we knew how versatile he was, and so we were hoping he would say yes. And there was also something he brought to it that we did not expect, because Michael's a huge fan of 1970s cop shows. And so we were giggling over in the corner there as the credits were playing, because there's a theme he wrote called Hill Street Zoos, which is sort of that, right, it's funny, right? That is kind of a take on these old kind of Quinn Martin, cop shows from back then. And it feels like what's great about Michael is when you meet him for the first time, and I'm sure a lot of you guys know him, but you feel like you've known him all your life. And I think Rich, myself, and Clark really felt like we jived with this guy, because you loved Planet of the Apes growing up. We loved Planet of the Apes, Speed Racer, all these great shows, and Star Trek and Star Wars. And so there's something about that bonding where I think we just felt like we understood each other. And then the fact that he can dive into this vast warehouse that he's got in his head musically, and he can pull out little pieces of whatever is appropriate for the film and bring that to I don't know that anyone else could have done the score. It was pretty impressive to us. So well done, Man in Hat. I mean, we do a lot of these movies. All of them, I think, come from us sitting in a room talking very personally about ourselves and our personal experiences. I think Rich and I had both experiences with bullies growing up, and that found its way into the film late. But all of the story sessions are like that. We get in the room and we go, okay, well, if something's working, why is it working? If it's not working, why is it not touching you emotionally? And that just naturally brings out people talking about their own issues. And because we do have a very diverse group of very, very smart people we work with, and we rely on our crew to tell us about their own personal experiences that will inform and educate what we're trying to say with the film. So it's not just us by any means. It's really a group of people who are giving us personal experiences and information that's going to tell us how to tell the story. And then as far as the humor goes, as far as kind of balancing the message, because we knew it's something about something very serious, but the humor kind of tends to allow us to leaven the message early in the film, because we never wanted to make a messagey film. We didn't start out to go, we're going to make a messagey film and prove a political point at all. It was really about the emotional journey of the characters and about what they're going through, and telling a solid story that makes you feel something. And that all just, it is oddly timely. Like you said, it's strange that it came out right now and this year, and that all this stuff in the world is happening right when this is coming out. But it really was just all based on us trying to tell a good story.
And for myself personally, of being able to kind of balance it in my head, I'll work out like a little formula in my head for anything that I work on. And to me, this was Richard Scarry's Busy Busy World meets L.A. Confidential. You know, that it was it was that type of thing where I could kind of, that gives me kind of a chart that I can now navigate from as a director. And the really, really juicy concept of the initial idea to me was not just doing a talking animal story where they live in a world where they all get along, but the idea of, well, how did they get to that point? You know, we know animals. How can a lion and a lamb, you know, work side by side and the lion not kill the lamb and eat her, you know? So the idea of like, well, we're going to explain how that happened. You know, we're going to dive into to that moment that made that achievable to them, and then deconstruct it, and then throw a bomb, you know, into Busy Busy World, and make it feel like our world, you know, and make it feel contemporary. So it's kind of taking things that we collectively know from our childhood or stories that we've told our children, and try to find more depth to it.